Elon Musk is an absolute rock star. He's just a rock star. He's fighting for everybody's freedom. This is incredible. We're about to get into it. This is the Common Sense Custodian coming back with another video here, and let's get into this, okay? So what has gone on here is Elon Musk hosted a space call. For those of you who don't know what a space call is, I think it's the next big way news is going to circulate. You know, there was the era of print, and there was the era of TV, and then of course there's the podcast era, which we're in right now, and YouTube, right? But Twitter space calls are interesting. It's basically, if you don't know what it is, it's a phone call that basically hundreds or thousands, tens of thousands or more people can all be in and listen to at the same time. It's pretty incredible. You get it unfiltered. There's no editing and there's no deception. You just hear each other speak, and it's amazing. It's an open phone call, basically. He had one yesterday with the BBC. This has all happened because of what happened with Elon Musk putting the tag on NPR as state-run government media, which it is, right? It's paid for and run by the government. Of course, NPR didn't like that. Ironically, today, they're stepping back from Twitter. Unbelievable. The corruption that Elon is exposing and others have exposed over the past 5 years, 6, 7 years is unbelievable. He exposed virtue signaling. You know, everybody knows what virtue signaling is. Lies, exaggeration, with this reporter like I've never seen before. As a matter of fact, here from the Daily Mail, it says, "You don't know what you're talking about. Elon Musk humiliates ill-prepared BBC reporter in a car crash interview and accuses him of lying about Twitter and hate speech being on the rise." And it is so true. You know what? Listen to it yourself.
Used to be in content moderation, and we've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company. Is that something that you want to address?
Talking about? I mean, you use Twitter.
Right.
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
but just a personal anecdote, like what do you? I don't.
Personally, for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content, yeah, personally. But I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
You see more hate speech personally?
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm
just curious. I'm trying to say what you mean by hateful content. And I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. I don't.
Can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why. Because I don't actually use that for you feed anymore, because I just don't particularly like it. And actually, a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at my following.
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and
how did you see the hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen that for you hateful content. I'm asking for one example.
Right.
You can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet, and yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
that's false.
No, what I claimed.
You just lied.
What I claimed was. There are many organizations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my feed or not, I mean, right, and
literally
you can look at something like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK. They will say that. So
look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a single example. You can name one.
Right, and as I've already said, I don't use that feed. But
how would you know that?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know this hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time. COVID misinformation. You changed the COVID misinformation.
Has BBC changed its COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
I'm literally asking you about, you changed the labels, the COVID misinformation labels. There used to be a policy, it then disappeared. Why do that?
Well, COVID is no longer an issue. Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations, and not reporting on that at all? And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, so. You thought it wasn't?
I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. You want to talk about the BBC? All right, let's talk about something else.
Do you hear those moments of pause? Do you see? This exposes the lie when he says, "Oh, there's so much more hate speech on Twitter, since you took over, Elon." He's like, "Oh yeah, what? When? Where? One example." And Elon is like, "Just give me one." And I love how Elon just doesn't back down, because that's what these people do. They change the subject as soon as you make a point. How many times have you tried to talk and debate with somebody who maybe disagrees with you, and then you make a good point and then they change the subject? See, that I hate that. Let's debate. If somebody makes a good point to me, right? Because I'm an independent free thinker, okay? I'm always open-minded. If somebody makes a good point, I will acknowledge it. I'll say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong about that. That's a good point." But how about this? That's how a normal, good person handles a debate, right? No. That's not how this is. This is incredible how this guy tries to get out of the question, stunned. He has nothing to say. I just sat there with my jaw open. Another media professional being exposed. And this exposes all of the BBC. It was just amazing how Elon said, "Just give me one example of what you're saying." And the guy just, blah, 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 I haven't seen it. But Elon's like, "Well, no, you just said that, you've seen it." And he goes, "Oh, well, I don't use that account." And he said, "Well, then how could you have seen it?" It's unbelievable. The corruption, the lies, the exaggeration that these people have. I'm just a regular custodian, right? Middle class, right? That's my thing, right? I try to have a voice for just regular people. We are waking up to this. We are waking up to this corruption, and we needed somebody like Elon, somebody who has money, right? Because unfortunately, these people control all the institutions, all the high levels of government, all of justice system. This is all the schools. This is crazy. We're in a culture war for the fate of this country right now. And as an independent free thinker, I listen to both sides, and then I say, okay, who's telling the truth and who's not? And when I see one side exposed so badly like this, it really opens my eyes to what's going on here. The backlash, you could say, or the amount of people that have put eyes on this interview is nothing short of unbelievable. You got to see the whole interview. Elon Musk truly is a modern day visionary. It's people like Elon Musk, who is left of center, right? He's a left of center. He is in no way a right winger, and he is exposing corruption, lies, and basically state-run media on a level that we've never seen before. This is incredible. If this doesn't open your eyes, I don't know what will. This is big. Let me know what you think about Elon just absolutely roasting this reporter, calling out the nonsense, and getting to the truth. The truth. I'll catch you in the next one.